Good evening, class. Today I will be giving my commemorative speech on a person who was very influential in my life and a major role model, and he helped me make some of the life decisions I've made thus far in my life. He is First Sergeant Henry Massey Jr., United States Army, retired. He's been more than a role model to me. He's been more than a mentor, an advisor. He's been like a father to me. I actually call him Dad. Growing up, my dad wasn't around a lot. So just like any young man at that age, I was looking for a father figure, someone to help me out and give me the advice that only a man could give to another man or another boy or child. I met him in high school in 1998. In high school, I took JROTC, and he was my JROTC instructor. From the moment I met him, I realized that he would be a great role model. He's a great speaker. Whenever he would teach classes, he got us motivated and pumped up. He was very professional. He was someone that I wanted to emulate and be like. All throughout high school, the 4 years I was there, he would teach me things. I guess he saw something in me that he wanted to nourish and make sure that that was a good trait that grew inside of me. There was plenty of times he came to my house and spoke to me and my mom. He's one of the major reasons that I decided to join the Army. I actually wanted to join the Army and pick the same job that he had picked when he was in, but he sat me down and told me, he was like, don't pick that job, pick something that you can use when you get out of the Army that will benefit you, which is one of the reasons that I picked military intelligence, and I am where I am today. So I can't thank him enough for that. So I joined the Army, I go to basic training. It's a funny story. He calls my commanding officer while I'm in basic training. So we're in the chow line the next morning getting breakfast. So the commanding officer comes in and he says, "Where's Private Hudge?" So I say, "I'm right here, sir." So I go, I talk to him, and he said, "I got a call today from Miami. Do you know who it would be?" I said, "No, sir, I have no idea who you got a call from." And he said, "It's from a retired first sergeant." So I instantly knew who it was. He said my godfather had told him to have my drill instructors take me outside and smoke me. Now, smoking in the Army is what we call, it's a term that we use for some extra physical training, which we had already done physical training that morning for an hour and a half. So the drill sergeants proceeded to take me outside and smoke me for another hour. He didn't do it as punishment or a way to get back at me. He did it as a lesson, and he knew that it would only make me a better soldier. He would always do things like that. I go to him for advice on pretty much every major decision that I make in the Army. And it's funny that how his advice and some of the things that he went through when he was in the Army over 20 years ago, that he's been retired now, still apply to some of the situations that I find myself in the Army, and the advice still holds true. But he'll always tell me, he'll tell me the right thing to do. He won't tell me just what it is that I want to hear. A lot of the times in life, we want to hear what we want to hear. We want to hear that we're right, you're right. He'll tell me if I'm wrong. He'll tell me if I'm right. He'll tell me the right way to do things. And I appreciate him for that. And at the end of every conversation that we have, he always says, I told you this, but make sure you go and pray about it and see what the Lord has to say about it. Again, at my first duty station, when I was in Denver, my first sergeant, I wasn't always the best soldier. My first sergeant was having a couple issues with me. I was young, a young 19, 20-year-old private. Somehow, I still don't know to this day, he got the contact information from my godfather. So he called and had a conversation with him. Not 20 to 30 minutes later, I received a call from my godfather, who proceeded to chew me out for the next 40 minutes on what I needed to do to square myself away and become a better soldier. And again, he didn't do it as punishment or malice. He did it because he knew that I had it in me. I just needed some re-steering, some guidance to get back on track. And again, I thank him, and I thank my first sergeant for knowing that he could call my godfather and have me squared away. Like I said, I go to him for not just Army advice, but life advice in general. Usually when I call him, he's usually busy because even though he's semi-retired, he's still working and being that constant professional that I try to live up and be like in my Army career. So if I don't get a hold of him, he'll call me right back and say, hey, son, I'm out here plowing the mule, out here working. And then he'll ask me what it is that I have an issue with. I'll tell him my story, and he'll give me advice. And at the end of the conversation, it's always, remember, son, pray about it, and I love you. Like I said, some of the major life decisions I've made in my life, my decision to join the Army, I couldn't have done without him. I don't know where it is I would be right now if it wasn't for him. I have no idea. I'm glad that I met him. I'm glad that he came into my life, saw that I needed help, mentorship, and guidance, and decided to pick me and say, hey, yes, you will be my son, and I'll help you and steer you along this road called life. And I thank him for that today, all the time, and I love him, and I can't, like I said, I don't know where I would be in my life without him. It's just, he's a major influence on my life, and I just wanted to take this time out and do this speech for him and for me, just to highlight some of the things that he did in my life. Thank you.